Good morning, school team. My name is Bridget Hallman, and we have come together today to talk about Jane and what procedure will be best in changing her behavior. I have reviewed both proposals on whether we should be using a reinforcement procedure or a punishment procedure. But before we get started, I would like to state that the most important factor is for us to come together to help Jane be successful in the school environment. So with that being said, I will now go over what behaviors we'd like to target for Jane, as well as what procedures I believe will be the most successful based on the literature available, as well as in what instance the opposing procedure would be appropriate. So before we get into the literature, I just wanted to review Jane's case. So we all know Jane is 5 years old and diagnosed with ASD. She has vocal verbal communication skills, and her development in all other areas are near age appropriate as well. Yet when we implemented a token board, it was unsuccessful. Now, I've heard some concerns from teachers that Jane is struggling with raising her hand in class when needing assistance or wanting to answer a question. She is often yelling out instead. The parents want to increase appropriate communication by having Jane asking for help in the appropriate manner when needed instead of yelling out. Together, we can find a solution to help Jane communicate her needs without yelling out. So based on the literature, using a reinforcement procedure is the most effective way to reduce Jane's problem behavior. It is stated in Waddington's 2004 article that using positive reinforcement to change behavior in children with disabilities has been supported for over 35 years of research to prove its efficiency. The use of positive reinforcement is shown to be able to increase desired behavior by ignoring and/or correcting problem behavior and in reinforcing desired behavior. This can be directly applied to Jane's case. When she yells out, we can prompt her to raise her hand. And when she does, we will deliver positive social praise and verbal reinforcer. This type of positive reinforcement is called social reinforcement. Based on the description in Kearney's book on understanding applied behavior analysis written in 2015, it involves giving attention to the person you are trying to reinforce. In Jane's case, it seems that she yells out when she wants attention or to communicate with others. So by using social reinforcement through verbal praise, when Jane raises her hand to ask for attention appropriately, we can increase this behavior and reduce the yelling out behavior. So when she does give us the appropriate response, we want to make sure we tell her she's doing a great job so that we can reinforce her doing that behavior more. A study by Gherkin in 2019 showed how reinforcement can be used to help math performance. So they used a combination of feedback, self-scoring, goal setting, and positive reinforcement to help them perform better on math questions. So the participants showed an increase in their ability to solve problems, and it was mentioned that they were able to implement this intervention and see results with minimal effort. So this is a graph that was taken out of Gherkin's 2019 study. So each line here represents a participant, and A1 represents baseline, B represents the intervention, and A2 represents when the intervention was taken away. So you can see that with the intervention, their ability to solve math problems dramatically increased compared to baseline and when the intervention was removed. So a study such as this shows the efficiency of reinforcement and how it doesn't require much effort for those involved, so such as Jane's teachers. So when discussing punishment procedures, the Behavior Analyst Certification Board has a section dedicated to the use of punishment in the Professional and Ethical Compliance Code for behavior analysts. It states that behavior analysts recommend reinforcement rather than punishment whenever possible. And if punishment procedures are necessary, behavior analysts always include reinforcement procedures for alternative behavior in their behavior change program. As well as before implementing a punishment procedure, they must have tried a reinforcement procedure first, unless the behavior is very severe or dangerous that warrants the use of adverse procedures. So for example, in Henley's study in 2005, a punishment procedure was put into place after a reinforcement procedure was unsuccessful in 2 children that engaged in self-injurious behavior as well as aggression. So once punishment was implemented, the problem behavior reduced to near zero rates. So in this case, it was necessary for punishment to be implemented as reinforcement was not working and the behavior was dangerous. Yet in Jane's case, her behavior is not dangerous, so therefore a punishment procedure is not warranted. So overall, based on the literature and the points reviewed, I believe a reinforcement procedure will be the most efficient choice for changing Jane's behavior over a punishment procedure. And that is because, one, Jane's behavior is not dangerous to herself or others, so there is no urgency to have to implement a more adverse procedure. And reinforcement, based on the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, has said that we should be using reinforcement pretty much every single time when able to. Like, punishment isn't the first route of choice. So thank you so much for attending this meeting, and have a great day.